All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to an exciting edition of the Uber Farmer Cigar Deck Talks. We're on the deck finally. Took quite a while to get out here, or get up here, get here. Usually when I shoot videos on Sunday, the deck is emblazoned in sun and heat, and it's unbearable to sit out here. And to be honest, our special guest, say hello.
Hello.
You're not gonna wave? We got, yay! Homeschooling mom is here with me. She hates the deck, which I don't blame her. It's not exactly built, shall we say, to code. Yeah, we also had some issues that we refinished the deck, and I don't know what happened, but the finish only lasted a year, and
That was 2 years ago.
yeah, not a lot of fun. So
It definitely needs some work.
So anyway, we're here for an interesting video. One, kind of keeping with last year, or the last video. I have two other rums. One's aged, one's white, that I wanted to try and, yeah, kind of see how they taste. This one, I didn't do a video on it, but after doing the Badmo rum, I kind of got interested in trying out different types of sugars. I thought sugar was sugar. You know, you didn't really matter what type you used. But once I used that vanilla sugar, I kind of got interested, like, well, what do other sugars taste like? So this one, I used vanilla sugar, a Jamaican brown sugar, and then an American dark brown sugar. It's not the light brown sugar you usually cook with. This was a darker one. And the taste was interesting. Again, I did a video with all the different types of sugars, doing some tasting notes. If I remember, I'll try to put it up there. I'll probably forget that. I'm pretty bad with that. And then I also aged this one on a stave. I did it wrong, though. The alcohol was probably not as strong as it should have been when it went in. It didn't get much color, but it did get a lot of flavor. So we're going to try that today. And then we're going to get to our topic. And it's a good one to have hard liquor with, because we're going to talk about death. All right, so the first one, we're going to give just the plain one tried. So not aged, but it has been sitting in the bottle for about a year. Tasty, smooth. Making homeschool, you're fine. One little sip. Homeschooling mom is grabbing some allergy meds here soon, but
Nope, that's back to the strong flavor.
is it again?
Yep.
Oh. It must be that brown sugar or something. I don't know. There's no maple syrup in this one. And then we'll try the aged one to give us a bit of a...
I don't know what you don't taste that I taste.
Yeah.
You don't seem to taste the difference.
I do not. You're correct. I don't know what you're tasting. I wish I knew. I wish I knew what part of the process that made the last one not taste like that. Because either one, either the white or the one had that fire taste, that wood taste you keep talking about.
It's not wood.
And what, charcoal you used to smoke?
I don't know. Maybe you're trying to make it too fast.
Maybe. And
Like you're burning it in the stove.
I actually run it really slow.
Nope, solid.
Well,
Not as bad.
there you have it. I definitely like them. They definitely are pure sugars. Because it does...
Really see that, though.
Yeah, the...
I don't know what that's
I
called. I
doubt
can't
that.
remember right now.
Or tears or...
Yeah.
Yeah, they are a little bit harsher, a little bit stronger. It definitely has more of that sugar shine taste to it than it does have the... we use maple syrup or molasses. It doesn't have that stronger flavor to it. I do like them. It is fun to play with it. I can taste some of the caramel more and some molasses or the maple. But yeah, I'm sorry you don't like them. This cigar tonight, I didn't show this off yet. The Nest cigar by Blackbird. This is actually one of their value cigars. This is from the series where my wife made her own special little tags. And this one is for the first day of our marriage as man and wife. So there you go. This is the cheapest cigar they had, which if you didn't see the video, Homeschooling Mama bought me 20 cigars for 20 years of marriage. She put tags on them, one for each year, kind of put what highlight of that year. And for the most part went from the cheapest one for our first year to the most expensive cigar for our 20th year. So I thought this would be kind of fitting. The topic tonight, we're talking about encountering death at work. So I'm guessing everyone's heard this, no news, but there was a political commentator named Charlie Kirk who was shot and killed. Didn't know the guy. Obviously, I've seen many of his videos. Fun debater. But it kind of brought this interesting question up. I was reading some posts, and someone was talking about how the world's going nuts over basically some nobody, some loudmouth dying, but yet radio silence when a police officer, firefighter, or paramedic dies. I was like, well, that's interesting. I was a paramedic. And for me, it's a different expectation. So I thought it'd be fun to pull Homeschooling Mom into this one. I actually made sure that she was not working. I kind of dragged my feet. I actually shut off the internet so her computer stopped working.
It was you.
So we can talk about EMS, death, being married to someone who's in the field, your expectations, your thoughts, your revelations, all that in a bag of chips. So let's start off. We got married somewhere. I don't remember the date, but I've written down somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And about, I think it was I started working, I think in September, August. It was August. I started working. We got married. No, it was September.
No, you were working before we got married. It was just purely contingent.
Oh, yep, you're right. So I think it was August, like 1st of August, I started working. We'd all been married, or we were about to be married when I started working. So you married a contingent part-time, well, not even part-time, but contingent paramedic.
Mm-hmm.
So, did it cross your mind that I was going to be encountering or risking my life every day?
Probably not at first, but I think you made a big deal about it.
So when's the first time it dawned on you that this was a dangerous profession I was in, and me coming home was not guaranteed?
Probably the first snowstorm. When you were on a transfer, probably it really wasn't real until the first snowstorm, which is an entirely different situation than what you're talking about, but it's still a risk.
It is. I mean,
and honestly, a much more real risk in many situations, or at least in many locations, than getting shot. I can think of a few cities where a paramedic has a high risk of being shot, but in general, throughout our state, and I would argue many states, if you're not in specific cities where that's a high risk, it's not as high of a risk. But the risk of a fatal, vehicular accident when you're going 90 miles an hour down the highway in snow, ice, hail, rain, dumbasses that are driving and hitting you, or texting on your phones, that's a very real risk.
Now, I did have a few firearms pulled on me, and quite a few scenes where there was a firearm on scene that could have been used.
Oh, I'm not disputing that there is that risk, but I'm just saying that it was never the bigger
No,
risk.
it definitely, weather was a bigger risk. Like you said, the first realization was I did take a transfer in a bigger storm. I wanted to show this off real quick. The last time I used these glasses, I could not use them as a cigar rest. Today I can.
Why couldn't you last time? Was the cigar too big?
It was too big. It
Oh.
was too big of a cigar. It was really big gauge cigar. So okay. So it didn't sink in, because I was very honest that it was a dangerous profession. I knew the risks of the job quite a bit. So I did tell you, but like you said, it didn't really hit until that first snowstorm.
I think you, I think you also have to recognize that the risks are not purely physical. There are a lot of risks to mental health when you're dealing with people in critical situations. Not
Yeah.
just the individual who's injured, but also their family, their friends, their...
True. I
So
mean,
there is a high risk to mental health,
are you saying to my mental health or other people's?
to the provider, whatever provider that may be.
But that won't immediately lead to death. That's sometimes a slow burn.
Well, I mean, sometimes. It depends on...
Yeah.
I mean, if the person isn't adequately prepared for that sort of thing, it's... I mean, you hear about people who commit suicide all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting. I'd like to look into the research. Because traditionally we are 2 to 5 times more likely to commit suicide than the general population.
I'm more likely to get divorced.
And
more
divorce.
likely
But I wonder if that holds after you get out of the field.
Oh, that I don't know.
That's kind of I'd be interested to.
I could see that an entirely different reason. I'm not gonna have like almost like survivor's guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So
There was a lot of survivor's guilt going on. Yes, I've known a few, not as many as some people, but I've known a few providers who killed themselves. I know some providers who killed themselves slowly. It wasn't a bullet or pills, but through poor lifestyle and habits. So what did you do to deal with once you kind of came to the full realization that, me coming home every night was definitely not guaranteed? Did you do anything? How did you cope with that?
you just accept it. I mean, I wanted you to. Well, I don't know, because it was what you wanted to do, and if by telling somebody that they can't do what they truly love and feel passionate about, you're really kind of killing them in your own way. So,
True.
I mean, I was really glad when you got off the rig, but that was for kind of other reasons too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was partially for safety. I realized
It was
that.
partially for safety, but honestly, by that time, it was also just like a priority issue. We weren't,
Well, that's where the safety part for me. I wanted to prioritize my family and actually coming home to them instead of just being the medic that saved the day. It is interesting. You never once, while I was on the rig, tried to get me to switch professions, but my family and a few of my friends were constantly on me to switch into nursing or switch careers.
Yeah, I just don't agree with doing that to somebody. But I mean, I grew up with my dad in the military, my brother's in the military, so one, you kind of have to accept that people put themselves at risk, and that's their choice. As hard as that is to deal with, that is the case. And two, there are people who die because they do something stupid, or they're careless, or they're, just want a thrill, and then there's people who die trying to help somebody. And one is noble and one is kind of just not.
So here's an interesting question. Do you think what happened to that individual in Utah, was that a noble death or a careless one?
I would say that was noble, only because it's not like he was engaging in a risky behavior. Like, that shouldn't have been a risk. It shouldn't have been a big, he should not have been at risk just for purely going to debate somebody. So, I mean, I would say that was noble, and he's also trying to bring people to God, which is taking them to eternal life, and save lives, because I don't know exactly what his topic that day was. It really kind of depends.
It was just anything. I was
Yeah,
asking
he has
anything.
some various topics, and a lot of them, though, are religious-based or based on, anti-abortion, that sort of thing, pro-life. So, I mean, I would say he was trying to do good.
Okay.
So I would not say that it was...
So you wouldn't look at him as because there are a lot of people who said that he was a provocateur. Like, he intentionally provoked people, and he...
No, somebody who's trying to provoke people is trying to make people angry for the sake of making people angry. Sharing your opinion shouldn't just make people angry because they disagree with you.
Fair enough. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just kind of curious in your viewpoint on the matter. So, okay. So when I was on the rig, you just accepted it. So, getting dark here, but what would you have done if I died on the rig?
Paid off the house.
So, do you...
Okay, now this isn't a fair one, because we've had this discussion multiple times. I mean, one of my books that I like addresses that fully. Actually,
You actually do, yeah.
Like we literally had a life insurance policy that was like, the intent was it would pay off the house, reside the house, redo the interior of the house, any areas that needed it, buy a new car, and provide for the next.
It was only like 10 years after
10
everything. Yeah, I
years.
think it was 10 years is what we figured. So
But
between
presumably within that 10 years, then I would have had time to find a part-time, full-time job that would have then covered the expenses that we were.
well, the kids, well, depending on when it happened, would have been anywhere from 12
And on
to
Social Security,
18.
and like like we had a
Yeah.
solid, this is what I would, and it was clear, like, this is what you wanted me to do, this is what was the smart thing to do, and this is what, like, we had a prioritized list. What do you do first? Well, you pay off the house so you don't have a monthly house payment. Then you address the needs of the house to make sure that it's going to be structurally sound long term. Then you address transportation to get to and from appointments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty solid, like, this is what you do. And even now, if something happened to one of us, I would expect that would be the same kind of.
Well, we don't have near as nice of insurance,
No,
life
we
insurance
don't.
policy.
But you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
It's still like the
Yes.
strategy. You see to those primary needs first, the basic needs, and go down.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere between $300,000 to $500,000 if I died on the job that you would have gotten.
I don't know.
Um,
Again, it was all
pretty close.
spoken for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a very clear, this is the first thing, this is the second thing, this is the third thing, this is the. It was very, not to be morbid, it was planned out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did have conversations about it. I mean, that's something that I don't think a lot of people do. They don't talk about, don't realize that. I mean, even again, having a very safe, quote-unquote, job, there's a lot of stupidity out there. So yeah, we had talked at length about what to do with any money that would have been gotten from insurance, and expectations for raising children or moving on to the, did I want her to stay in our original home we lived in, or was she supposed to move? Was, even down to, so there's a question. I know the answer, but might as well put it out there. Would you have remarried?
I don't think so.
So I would not have, definitely, but I had hoped she would. I'd hope you would.
I think it would have. I think it would depend too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you had quite a few suitors, especially when you were first married, that would have been happy to jump
but
into that role.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't have. I think that would have been a down the road. What's going on?
Yeah.
Obviously, the goal was that I could provide for and be provided for without any external
help.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have wanted to have love again, and it would have been solely you just would have married your gay friend from high school. And
honestly, my concern is, and I know it sounds terrible, but I'm not a very trusting person, and we have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
I don't really trust other people with our children, in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like more specifically, like inviting somebody into your home, that would take a huge amount of trust, and I don't know that I would trust most people that much. It would have to be a very, 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 very unique and special individual.
Yeah.
So that would be my reason why I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
At least not until all the kids were moved out and on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Just because if something happens to me, okay. But if I mistakenly or knowingly or accidentally allowed something to happen to one of the kids because I chose somebody who was a terrible person, I would never forgive myself. So
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, it was just interesting. It gave me some pause to kind of think about it, because yeah, it was definitely something we talked about. We had understanding about. It came up multiple times. Not just when there were close calls, because I didn't tell you all the close calls. You knew about quite a few of them. Even the ones I didn't share, because obviously when you almost die, you don't exactly come home in the same mental mindset.
fully calm and collected.
Yeah, fully calm and collective. So, what was the scariest one? The scariest close call I ever had?
Okay, I guess there were two,
Okay.
and very different.
Okay.
So physically, when I got a call asking me, when I called the ambulance garage because you hadn't gotten back with me about something, I can't remember whether we
It
were
was
supposed to
lunch.
go somewhere or lunch or something. And your partner on the rig was like, he hasn't called you. He was in a bad accident. He couldn't. And then, when I finally did get the call, it was listen, the phone is across the room and I can't get up to get it. I'm not able to walk. So I was like, oh my gosh, he is paralyzed. He is hurt. He is. And then, so probably that was one of the most scary. And you wouldn't even let me come into the hospital.
Nope.
Which made it even more scary. Because then I was like, okay, there's stuff you're not telling me. It's worse than you want me to know.
Just in case you're wondering, we did clarify. I was of the mind that I didn't want to be talking, because I was offered a cell phone while I was being taken in. And I was like, no, because the last thing I want is for the phone call to cut out. Like, what would be worse than having the phone call cut out while being transported? Well, it turns out having your partner tell your wife.
What is so hard about saying, I'm okay, I was in an accident? Call him. I'm okay, I was in an accident.
I'm just
I'm
as afraid.
okay.
All you'd hear is it'd break up, and all you hear is I was in an accident, and then it'd hang up.
Oh yeah, that's so much worse than he hasn't called you. It's been hours.
It wasn't hours.
I mean, he could walk last time I saw him.
Hours is an exaggeration.
No, that is what your
It was
partner
like,
said.
oh, well, then he needs to work on his perception of time. So it was the second scariest.
You came home after a call with an individual who had tried to kill their children. And your whole, you wouldn't even, I think it was like 6 months to a year before you even told me a little bit of what, had happened. But I could tell just from how you were behaving that your mental health was not.
It was that call was pretty damning. I think I've covered it here with the mom who was going to poison all of her kids.
And accidentally poisoned
Accidentally
herself.
poisoned herself instead.
And so, I knew that the call had been bad. And I somehow I think I knew that it involved children. But I didn't have details, or obviously. And so, I knew it had been bad, and I could tell that you were not okay. For lack of a better, way to describe it. You were definitely not okay. And so that was probably the other one.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, you've been in a lot of accidents,
I've been in
a lot of close calls,
a lot of
gone off
close
the whole
calls.
road, But no, those would probably be the two that stand out in my mind.
I would not have guessed the second one, but that's because I was not thinking the psychological damning calls I've been on.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of those.
But when there are lots of those. We are correct. That one was the rough.
I mean, there were a lot of hard ones when you were on a transfer 4 hours away, and it was a terrible storm.
Yep.
And, those are bad.
Those were bad.
But, I mean, at the same time, one, typically you were driving safely for the speed limit for the weather conditions. And a lot of the worst part was when you were on your way home.
Yeah.
So, well, no. And my logic is this. When you're on your way home, you've already done your job. So when on your way home, you can take your time. You should be going slower.
Well, I at least was in a seat that had a seatbelt.
You're in a seat with a seatbelt. So the drive home is, but you've already done your job. So if something happens then, it's kind of like, well, that's really unfortunate. Because you've already, if you die trying to help somebody, that's terrible. But if you die after having finished that job,
So would you make that
feels
not a
worse.
heroic death? That'd be a dumbass death if we died on the way home.
No, it's
I mean, I don't disagree with you. There's some logic to be had there.
It's still heroic, I guess, but it's not the same.
I don't disagree with that
My brain
assessment.
cannot justify that would be okay.
I don't blame you. You have a point there. That would be less of a justifiable.
It's
death.
almost insult to injury.
Yeah.
I guess it's already a horrible thing, but insult to injury that you should have been able to be safer, go slower, be more.
And I'd have the MCIs where I was lifting people constantly to the rig, but then I'd come home and bend down to pick up a pencil and throw my back out and be on the floor for the next 2 days. Just leave me here. That's another thing I had to get used to once I got off the rig. back injuries were not a common occurrence.
That's true.
That was a weird thing. So. Well, anyway, folks, we're getting on 25 minutes here. This is depressing, so I think me and homeschooling, unless you want to talk more about it.
No, you had one other comment, like that you mentioned before turning on the camera, that I'm trying to remember what it was.
I don't know.
Is that death more tragic?
Oh, yeah. So that was one of the things that I believe, and this is a hot take, and good thing it's at the end of the video, so most people don't watch this far.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
No, you're fine. I do believe that, someone like Charlie Kirk, how he died, is more tragic than a paramedic, firefighter, or police officer. Because one, again, I know, like it was a possibility. It wasn't something like, well, in the worst case scenario, like no, my profession, there are a lot of people who, like, it though, you put yourself into dangerous situations with dangerous patients, you're exposed to, I've been exposed to so many chemicals and diseases, but it was a no. Like I said, we had many conversations. I imagine that, Charlie Kirk and his family, that was probably never a conversation. Like, what do you do?
I think it is actually mentioned that it was a conversation.
He was asked on a podcast, like, what do? You have 15, like, you're going to die, you have 15 seconds to live. Like, what do you do? And he gives his answer to that. But, like, you could tell it shocked him to the point he had never considered that. Like, that had not been something that he had talked, because his response was, one, delayed, which he was never delayed when asked questions. He definitely had the contemplative look, and it, like, the question itself kind of like shocked him. I mean, if someone was to ask me, well, what would you do if, like, you're on the rig and you're in an accident, someone stabs you, someone shoots you, you're gonna die, you have 15 seconds to live. Like, I got the algorithm. Boom, 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 boom. I know everything I'm doing. So that's something I had thought about. I mean, me dying, like we talked about, it was something discussed. Like, my wife, if you even said in this video, there was not like, I need a week to figure out what to do. Like, no, you kind of had it all planned out. Like,
just needed a week for the paperwork to get.
Yeah, once the paperwork is clear, there's no, like, if they're like, if the insurance company's like, well, here's a check, take your time, and no, I know exactly where this is going. Like, it's already all been spent, parsed out. It's all been
determined.
Determined, and so, like, there wasn't any of that. Like, it was such a common occurrence, and I feel this with a lot of EMS providers. Now, younger ones, not so much. It kind of creeps some of the newer. So I had a letter in my locker that was to be delivered to my family with my last words and some encouragement to my kids and whatnot. Like, that was to be delivered, and there were two people, hopefully they weren't on the call with me at the same time, who had the instructions to deliver it. And we'd have new guys who would see, like, rookies who would see that letter and just get like, why do you need that? Why do you have that? And I just tell them, give it a couple of years and you'll figure it out. You'll know why it's there. So yeah, I feel it is more tragic. His death was more tragic, because I doubt that was something that was ever discussed or thought about. And it should not have been. I mean, honestly, that's, like we talked about, he was expressing his opinions. And if you ever watch his videos, it wasn't a very respectful manner, so wasn't threats of violence or anything. So I think his death would have been more tragic than mine. I mean, both tragic, mind you, but...
I would hesitate to say more tragic, only because I don't think that I don't think that's on a continuum. You don't
think there's a scale, a spectrum of tragedy?
I do, actually. Like, I think a child's death is more tragic than an adult's. Mm-hmm. I really do. But I would say that, like, it's more unexpected.
Yeah.
Not more tragic. It's more unexpected. Like a police officer's family, a firefighter's family, they already know what the score is. They know their loved one is already risking their life every day. They know that there's already a chance that they're going to lose their life in the execution of their job. So they've already accepted that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't say that it's more tragic because a family is still without a father. I would say that it is more unexpected. Because, we're, to a large part, I think most public servant families are prepared for that potential.
But
outcome.
that's why I do say it's more tragic because
No, because being prepared doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's okay.
I'm
It
not
just
saying
means
it's
you're
okay.
prepared for it. And I mean, there are some people who prepare for the apocalypse. That doesn't mean the apocalypse is going to happen. And just because you're prepared for it doesn't make it less horrific that it's occurred. There are people who are prepared for bombing. Just because you're prepared for it doesn't necessarily mean that bombing didn't devastate.
But it affects, like, we're more prepared for like power outages and disasters in our home, so it affects us less. It's still tragic that we had to spend our first Thanksgiving here without power.
Tragic is a bit
But-
of an exaggeration, but
But exactly, like, we were prepared for it. Like this winter, our heater went out. That's tragic. Well, yeah, but the repair guy came in. He's like, "Are you sure your heater's out? Because it's hotter in your house than it is in mine right now." Well, we're prepared for it. It's still tragic. I was running around filling kerosene and propane heaters all day, and the kids had to wear coats during the, extra layers and coats and stuff. But it was less tragic for us because we were ready for it. That's kind of my I mean, if I look at,
But I don't think that lessens the actual problem, like the actual event. The event is still just as terrible. Now, personally, again, and that is part of that though, like somebody being murdered is different than somebody dying in a fire, is different from somebody executing their job, is different from, so honestly, I think a police officer being shot in the line of duty protecting somebody is worse than, that's harder. That was an intentional thing versus somebody who gets into a bad car accident in the execution of their job. Because one is intentional and malicious.
I see what you're going with. Okay.
One isn't. One is an accident. Now, granted, they may not have been in the position where that accident would have happened, like a floor collapsing underneath the firefighter. But, a house fire where the firefighter goes in and the floor collapses is different than an intentional arson where the firefighter.
Or someone targets a firefighter specifically with arson or shoots them.
Yes.
I see what you're talking
So
about.
I
Okay.
would say that is the only difference there.
I see. So because his was
It-
a very intentional act to
Yeah.
end his life, that makes it.
That would make it worse. But I feel that
worse.
way about police officers when they are, killed in the line of duty, and it's intentional by the criminal that they are like actively engaging to hurt that police officer. That's different than if they're engaged in the line of duty and there is some kind of vehicular accident.
Yeah. Okay. So just kind of drawing this
It's the
out.
purpose. Why?
Yeah.
How? Like. What
So, like,
was
my
the-
first aim is accident, had I died, tragic. But the prisoner who intentionally targeted the crew to kill us,
That's worse.
that's worse. Okay, I see where you're going. I don't disagree with that logic. I just didn't understand. Okay, I see.
Well, because one is genuinely an accident that happened in the field.
Yeah, unintentional.
Yeah. And one is specifically targeted at that
Targeted, yeah.
individual. But honestly, and I 100% don't mean to be disrespectful to the individual, but I did not know who that was really. But I see the alerts of all the police officers and stuff that die, so I can't say that like he's getting more media attention.
Oh, he's getting.
I'm sure he
thanks.
probably is, but I didn't even know who that was.
That's fair. I mean, that's.
I mean, I had seen
the thing
videos
is-
of the discussions and stuff.
And this
but-
is the only thing I'll kind of point at is now you do know who he is. Where, I mean, we've gotten alerts of my colleagues and friends and some of my classmates who died, and we've known them and whatnot, and yeah, like we know who they were. Even some of the ones who like were just colleagues. There were a couple from Sioux Fire who died recently that, I even put the black band on to show my remorse for. But yeah, now everyone knows Charlie's name, and whether you knew about him or not. So
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying.
no, we definitely have more connection to some of the other ones we've known who died in the last 20 years. So again, like I said, I'm not going to shed a tear for him. I didn't know him. I'm not upset by his death. I
It is sad for
I mean,
his
all
family.
deaths are upsetful. Yeah, you feel bad for his family, but you have some people crying over it. It's like, yeah, no, I don't cry for someone who died unless they were going to cry for me when I die. So, Sam didn't like their Swedish Compass didn't like that logic either. But anyway, folks, now are we good? Did we cover all my bases?
I think that was everything you
I think
said.
that was everything I said. Well, is there anything else you want to bring up?
I don't know.
Because the sun is now starting to bake my
Oh, it feels
booze, my
so
legs. I know
nice.
you're probably liking it now. I'm gonna start sweating here, and that doesn't make for a good video. You don't want to see me sweating. So.
Yeah, but you're not on video, so it's okay.
True enough. Anyway, folks, I'm gonna go smoke my cheap cigar. I don't know if you can see. There's a lot of defects in it. It's tasting good though. But yeah, the
What does that
ashes
say?
that we spend too much on cigars. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying year one.
Year one, yeah,
Defective.
there was a lot of defects in year one. There's a lot of learned lessons that I suppose we could pivot here for a couple minutes, but yeah, there was definitely a lot of, we both had room to grow. And some of us took longer than others to realize our failings as a spouse. Spoiler, most of it was mine. Took an ambulance accident or two to realize my priorities were off. But for another video, that can be a year two video. So anyway, folks, stay safe out there. Do make a plan. Talk to your spouse. It does make it easier. It gives you some comfort knowing that when you die, you know, your loved one knows what to do. And it really does. It gives you a good sense of purpose and comfort, and it's going to happen to all of us. So, but do stay safe out there. See you on the next one.